radio for my new talk show, Talk of the Town with John Adams. Every Wednesday from 11 to noon, we'll talk about issues that affect us all in the Fargo-Moorhead community. We'll talk taxes, the diversion, places to go and things to do, and of course, Bison and Viking football. We'll talk about issues that affect everyone in this great community that we call home. That's Talk of the Town with John Adams, Wednesdays at 11 on WDAY Radio.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. We gave Justin the day off today. That poor kid is lacking sleep with his 3 month. Is he 3 months old now? His little one? I think so. 4 months. So he needs to catch up on sleep, so we gave him a couple days off. How was your weekend, Bridgette?
Not too bad. It's been a beautiful weather weekend for us, and that might turn a little bit, but I think a lot of folks went out to enjoy their weekend, wouldn't you say?
I would say so, yeah. It was just a mild weekend. Temperatures well above normal. This is what? We're going on 3 weeks, going into the fourth week of above normal temperatures around here, and outside of a few hiccups here and there, we've been pretty lucky, but that party's about over. We'll have one more pretty halfway decent day on tap for tomorrow. But we are eyeing a potential of a pretty significant system coming in here Tuesday night into Wednesday. Now, I'm not so worried about a lot of snow, but it's not going to take a lot of snow because we're going to have winds anywhere between 30 and 45 miles an hour whipping out of the north on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So that Wednesday morning commute is going to be very difficult. I'm hoping and praying you don't have any travel on Wednesday, Bridgette.
Good news. I'm already in Indianapolis, Indiana, so y'all are safe back home. It's going to be where I'm at now. That'll be the bigger concern, what happens to them.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, well, that's because, the bad weather always follows you, it seems like, unfortunately.
Seems like every time. So you guys are all good till Friday when I get back.
Good. Yeah, and by Friday, we will see temperatures. Remember, according to the LRC, the second half of this month is supposed to be much different than the first half, and we'll be entering the second half of the month later this week here, after tomorrow. So LRC right on target for bringing down some colder weather, not Arctic, but colder weather. I do think we'll see a slug of Arctic air before the month is done. How long that lasts and takes hold, still a little bit in question. And we're also going to turn a little stormier with a few storm systems, one this week, and then we'll keep an eye on next week, and then potential for another one as we head towards the end of the month. But most of those really have been trending south for a few reasons. We'll kind of go into that, and we'll go into more of the LRC after we take a short recess. What else are we going to hit on today there, Bridgette?
Oh, we've got plenty of things that are going on. First of all, there is a new omnibus spending bill that is going to affect agriculture. Also, it's upcoming to Mardi Gras. How many of you are aware of the roots of Mardi Gras in agriculture and food? So that's another one of the things we want to touch on, as well as making sure we're up to date on what's going to happen for weather this week. And we've got a whole lineup of guests. So we'll preview who that's going to be, and we'll do that all when we return right after this.
From ABC News, I'm Derek Dennis. 36,000 killed and counting in the earthquake zone in Turkey and Syria. Rescue crews finding miracles in the rubble just today. At least 4 survivors found alive more than a week after the disaster, and there's now a push to arrest contractors, developers, and others over claims of shoddy construction.
The Justice Ministry has formed an Earthquake Crimes Investigations Bureau that will look into the deaths and injuries among residents here, and it will undoubtedly be an enormous task when you consider the scale of the destruction here. Thousands of buildings destroyed across hundreds of miles.
ABC's Marcus Moore. The U.S. and Canada under increased military surveillance, shooting down at least 4 high-flying objects in the last 8 days. The latest one Sunday over Lake Huron in Michigan. Military officials say some may have been weather-related objects that went off course. The U.S. urging Americans in Russia to leave immediately as Russia increases its attacks on Ukraine ahead of the 1-year anniversary of Russia's invasion later this month. The State Department concerned Russia may try to retaliate against the U.S. for helping Ukraine fight back.
Evidence emerging over the weekend that Russia has been taking heavy losses in the battles of eastern Ukraine. Ukraine's military claiming it a column of destroyed Russian tanks and other armored vehicles. Even Russian military bloggers admitting there was a Russian advance gone wrong in the same area in the past few days.
ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge. A judge has ordered the release later this week of parts of a report by a special grand jury that investigated efforts by former President Trump and his allies to overturn his narrow 2020 election loss in Georgia. Prosecutors urged the report be kept secret until they decide on charges, but a coalition of media organizations pressed for the release. In one section, grand jurors expressed concern that some witnesses may have lied under oath. You're listening to ABC News.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him WDAY for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Big news from Newsmax. AT&T's DirecTV just removed Newsmax. Now Newsmax has been censored by DirecTV and Uverse. With OAN gone, that's two conservative channels AT&T removed in the last year. Newsmax is the fourth highest rated cable news channel with Greg Kelly, Greta Van Susteren, Rob Schmidt, and more. Now millions of DirecTV subscribers can't watch them on Newsmax. Mike Huckabee, John Voight, Sarah Palin, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, and more are demanding that Newsmax be returned to DirecTV. President Trump urges you to cancel DirecTV and AT&T. So stand up for free speech. Call AT&T and DirecTV now. Call toll-free 877-NEWSMAX, and we'll connect you with DirecTV. 877-NEWSMAX. If you oppose censorship and support Newsmax, you call 877-NEWSMAX. We'll tell you how you can help. Dr. Ben Carson says our freedom is at stake. He stands up for Newsmax. Call 877-NEWSMAX. That's 877-NEWSMAX. Call 877-NEWSMAX today.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Wysocki, along with our wonderful, talented Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. I want to thank everybody for joining us on this lovely, mild afternoon. Temperatures outside right now in the low 30s across much of the area with a light breeze, a little breezy out of the south of 14. Pretty decent day out there. More snow melting. Maybe give some of those side streets a chance to melt off. Boy, some of those are like ruts after they freeze overnight and melt. And now we're going to see some snow coming our way, Bridgette, as we see a pretty vigorous storm system pulling out of the Rockies through the Central Plains and up through southern Minnesota. As it does, we'll see the clouds increase as we head into Tuesday, and we're going to see a little rain-snow mix developing by late in the day. I think your morning commute's fine on Tuesday. Your evening commute probably just a little wet, not icy. But if you have plans going out for Valentine's Day night tomorrow, looks okay in terms of the weather. I think majority of the worst part of the weather will hold off until after about 10 o'clock tomorrow night, and then things go downhill pretty quick as everything changes over to snow. It's going to turn windy. We'll have winds after midnight tomorrow, about 30 to 40 miles an hour and gusting close to 45 at times while it's snowing. And then that snow will wind down Wednesday morning, but the winds won't. The winds are still going to be whipping Wednesday morning, and that means a lot of blowing snow, reduced visibility. Not expecting a whole lot of snow, probably 1 to 3 here in the FM area. As you go further south and southeast into Lakes Country, could pick up about 3 to 6 there. So the conditions will be a little worse to the south and southeast of the FM area. Again, a small shift in the track of this storm could mean a big difference in terms of snowfall accumulation, because we're kind of right on that fence of much less snow. So if you go out to the west, let's say by 50 miles west of the FM area. Not much snow at all, but, heavier amounts to our east. So, again, if that track shifts just a little bit, we could be on the either side of much less snow, maybe an inch, or more snow, 4 to 5. So, it looks like a good 1 to 3, though, a pretty good bet here in the FM area. And just, travel's going to be difficult Wednesday. So, if anybody has any travel plans Wednesday, might want to hold those off until maybe Wednesday evening when the winds start to lighten up a little bit.
So my question is, Dean, it's only going to be during the day Wednesday and then things get better?
It will, yeah. Overnight Tuesday night and then Wednesday, probably through about lunchtime, and then conditions will start to improve after that. And then we're quiet the rest of the week, just cold. And I think we can handle that. But we really need we still need that moisture, and we will be getting it. It's just, again, this same quote-unquote stormy pattern, according to the LRC, will be back in about 50 days. And that would put it in the first week in April. Now, by then, maybe we'll be on the warm side of this and get rain instead of snow. But that's something we'll worry about that when the time comes. But
we will, and then that'll factor into calving season, right? Because if you get rain, that can be a problem for some of our ranchers. But we'll know that, as you said, the storm tracks start to improve. You get to see where things look, and really what is the right time frame that's actually going to fall, rather than we just know a range of days. That'll make a difference.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And as you know, and we've been talking about this for the last few weeks too. The frost in the soil, the frost depth, it's not that deep. So once this snow does start to melt, this will, instead of running off, should really start to seep in, which is great news. But we need a little more snowpack on top of what we've got right now, and we will between now and the end of the month. Even if it's a little here, a little there, we will add to the snowpack, which will help when it does come time to melt this stuff away, and spring is finally here. This is just a kind of a tease out there today and over the weekend of what's eventually to come, just not anytime soon, unfortunately.
So, Dean, I have another weather question for you, and that is, when I heard the news at the top of the hour from Kyle about a potential weather balloon getting away and being what was shot down recently. So what would a weather balloon gather for data that you wouldn't be getting from airplanes and so forth? What actually, if this is legitimate, what could it be for?
First off, I don't think those were weather balloons that were shot down over the weekend, that 2 or 3 of them. But the data that the weather balloons do gather, and they will rise up 60, 70, 80,000 feet. They'll go about twice as high as where jet airplanes fly. As these balloons go up, the balloon will expand. It will continue to get larger and larger and larger until it eventually will pop. And as it goes up in the atmosphere, it's gathering temperature, it's gathering dew points, moisture level, wind speed, wind direction, all the stuff we need to be able to forecast what's going to happen here at the surface. So all the weather balloons, they get launched at the same time. A couple times a day. Sometimes they'll do special launches, and all this data gets gathered, gets shoved into these supercomputers, and we get the information that comes out as weather maps. So we have to know what's going on above us to be able to forecast what's going to happen here on the surface. So in other words, as these balloons rise up to like 10,000 feet, let's say the weather, and this happened when we were very foggy, where these weather balloons will launch up, and we know, okay, 10,000 feet, temperatures are in the 40s while we're, in the teens here at the surface. Normally it gets cooler as you rise up in the atmosphere, but a lot of times, we can tell by when we get the information from these weather balloons, all right, we've got a temperature inversion. Okay, this might be a problem, whether it be pollution, whether it be fog, and we can forecast that by some of the information that these weather balloons do give us.
Well, so they're not all nefarious. There's actually good reason for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've been launching weather balloons for a very long time, and it's the most simple way to get weather information. We have jet aircrafts giving us very useful information as they fly across the country, and occasionally.
Say, did any of you children see the alien spaceship last night?
They will send us information too.
Nice touch. So, okay, now let me go back to that for a second. I remember as the pandemic started, when so many flights had been taken out of the sky, right? People were not flying, that we had delays in forecasting. Would you say that was true, that we didn't have very accurate information at that point in time?
We didn't have as much information, yeah. So you'll still get your weather balloon data. That was still fine. But yeah, a lot of times when you don't have, all these jet aircrafts being able to give us additional weather information, things will get delayed, and then probably not as accurate. That's a fair statement. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we are about up for a little intermission here. We've got to pay some bills. So when we come back, we'll hit on some more farm topics here, and we'll be talking about Super Bowl food inflation, too. When I saw some of the price differences, although not as bad as when we were in the pandemic, but just amazing on the price differences. We'll be talking about that and more when we come back.
Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights and avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy or are experiencing pain or numbness in your feet, pick up the phone and call us right now before it's too late at 701-929-7545. Again, that's 701-929-7545. Neuropathy is a very serious and progressive disease where your nerves start to break down. Eventually, it leads to balance problems, falls, complete loss of independence, and it can lead to amputation. Our program addresses the underlying causes and doesn't simply mask your symptoms with medication. In fact, many patients start experiencing relief from neuropathy symptoms within weeks. There's no surgery and no use of prescription drugs. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-929-7545. Call us today at Dakota Clinic of Chiropractic at 701-929-7545 today.
Oil and natural gas help provide the things our counties and communities need. Taxes paid by the oil and natural gas industry fund schools, roads, and flood protection across North Dakota. That means we can run our farms and businesses and educate leaders for our future. It's one of the many ways oil and natural gas are making life better in North Dakota for generations. North Dakota's oil and natural gas, advancing the possibilities.
North Dakota winters can be freezing cold, making many things brittle. Some days it's like the air is made of broken glass.
Some don't care, like snowmen don't care. They love the cold. But the cold is mean and hard on cars and homes.
North Dakota temperatures combined with strong winds makes for a monster cutting through our homes' windows and doors.
Just like a robber, they'll steal your heat, your comfort, even the peaceful silence you enjoy at home. I'm Jaden.
And I'm Andrew, the manager of the Window and Door Store in Fargo. We've been helping North Dakotans find the right replacement windows and doors for 16 years.
Whether you want to replace 1 or 2 windows or more, we'll go to your home or business when it works for you and show you windows and doors that are made to stand up to North Dakota weather in every season.
We'll give you a no obligation, no pressure estimate.
We give everyone our lifetime guarantee on the installation of our windows.
The Window and Door Store in Fargo. Better windows, better doors.
Don't worry about it. Just take it to Bailey's.
Hi, I'm Rinda, and we have teenage drivers. Therefore, we have had the opportunity, or should I say opportunities, to utilize many of the services that Bailey's has to offer. From minor scratches to major dent repairs, the team at Bailey's does not disappoint. They work with our busy schedules and within our budget. We love Bailey's so much that we give their detailing packages as gifts as well.
Check out Bailey's Auto Body for your collision repair needs at Bailey'sAutoBody.com.
Just take it to Bailey's.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon on this beautiful day. Temperatures in the mid-30s, plenty of sunshine across the area. Boy, you just can't ask for much better weather than this well, we're going into the middle of February already with temperatures out in Lakes Country already right around the 40-degree mark. That's just beautiful. There's no way to put it. And so we had the Super Bowl, obviously, last night, Bridgette, and did you get a chance to sit down and watch it?
I did get to watch that. I was there for the commercials and the food, much like probably many other people in our region. It's okay to want to cheer for the teams, but I just came to make sure that the guacamole dip was not left untended.
I was a little disappointed in the commercials. No Clydesdale commercials. No ag commercials that I recall. It was a little disappointing for me. I don't know.
I noticed a theme, and it was all stars, right? It's all people who were major folks for whether it was Dunkin' Donuts, etc. There was an awful lot of A-list players that were involved in commercials. So I guess there was a little changing in the tide this year. But and also a change versus last year was prices were less in certain items.
Right. And
so
what was the biggest drop in prices? I know chicken wings were crazy expensive last year. Those dropped quite a bit this year, didn't they?
They're actually down about 22%. So that's a big change for a lot of people's shopping lists, considering what they would normally have been doing. Also, avocados were down about 20%. You can attribute that to more groves that have now started harvest and less transportation issues apparently coming in from Mexico. Then steak was down as well. So if you're buying a sirloin these days, it's about $1 a pound less. I'm not saying that's an awesome price because steak is still expensive, but it is a little bit better. Hamburger is going to wind up staying higher right now because it's in such high demand. People really like using hamburger more often. It's very versatile. And as we get through the summer months, the Memorial Day, 4th of July weekends, we're probably going to continue to see that price stay high. And unfortunately, Dean, one of our favorites, beer. Beer is up 11% over last year. But remember, no barley, no beer, so we want to make sure our barley farmers get a crop in
So
this year.
what would that be attributed? It can't be attributed to the price of grains, would it? I mean, or is it a supply and demand thing? I mean, what do you...
Well, some of it is grain.
Okay.
Yep, some is grain. Hold on a sec for that noise.
Have the prices of grain gone up that much in the last year? Or is it a supply issue?
Grain prices are up. Grain prices are up quite a lot right now. And also when you have to think about the bottling, glass and so forth has been higher as well. And when you see some of the beer that's got to be, whether it's in aluminum cans or glass, etc., that's been an increased cost, not just the input side of it. So there has been some changes there.
Interesting.
But you can still find it in supply. Now, we did have an email come in, Dean, with a question for you back to that weather balloon discussion we were having. And that is, if you're going to launch a weather balloon, do you have to launch a flight plan for that as well? Or can they just be released and hopefully not interfere with air traffic? Do you have any idea what that might look like?
As far as I know, you do not have. That's a good question. That's a very good question, actually. You do not have to have a flight plan for the release. And the reason being is they're launched at the same time each day. So air traffic control, that they'll know. I mean, you know when it's a weather balloon. You can tell. Well, up until the Chinese balloon incident. But you could tell what's attached to the bottom of it. It's a very small little styrofoam box that's gathering all this information. And so, again, they're launched at the same time every day, twice a day, and so no flight plan is needed. They know, the air traffic knows when these balloons are going up and where they'll be. So that's a good question, though. That's a very good question.
Well, I thought that was a great question. And additionally, when you think about other questions that people might have right now, let's go to more food and let's talk a little bit about Mardi Gras that's coming up. It's going to start Tuesday, February 21st.
Already?
And we know that yes,
next week.
There. And I was just in New Orleans not that long ago, and there were already parades starting from some of the crews. So Mardi Gras is firing up. But did you know what Mardi Gras actually stands for and how it relates back to food? All right, Dean, pop quiz. Any ideas?
Oh, something grand. Grand party? No?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. Mardi Gras actually means Fat Tuesday, right? So we always celebrate Fat Tuesday as the start. But the name comes from the tradition of using up eggs, milk, and fat in your pantries because they were forbidden during the 40-day Lenten fast that began on Ash Wednesday and ended on Holy Thursday, 3 days before Easter. So really, a big part of Mardi Gras, getting started on Fat Tuesday, is eating up all the delicious foods that you might want, such as donuts, pancakes, and then having a bit of a carnival to go along with it. And that's where some of the traditions for Mardi Gras are rooted. I think that's ag related because it's all about food. So that's where I'm getting that information from.
I like where you're going with that. I was not aware of that. That is awesome. That's wow.
Absolutely. And and when you get to this time of the year, in England, they actually celebrate something known as Pancake Tuesday, and they have festivities that are flapjack related, like races that are held, a pancake race that women have to run in, where you hear a church bell, you rush out the door holding a pancake and flipping the pancake through the race. Also, the Pennsylvania Dutch have something called Fast Night that's also held that Fat Tuesday. Polish communities have a day for pancakes as well. They have a puffy jelly-filled donut that they enjoy. And the Swedish also have one called Selmla. Yes, so there's all these different things that lead right to beignets, which are generally the favorite thing when you go to New Orleans, is the nice puffy donuts that you can eat up. And once again, they were just using up what was in the pantry to get rid of all the special things before the Lenten season started.
Cafe du Monde right in the French Quarter for one of those lovely beignets. Yes. Oh, those are so good.
Beignets. Oh. And chicory, the coffee that'll hold your spoon up all by itself, right. Even if you weren't trying.
That's no doubt about it. We've had a few questions on the LRC. I've had a few people email me, when are you guys having your spring and summer outlook? So again, that will be March 7th. So that's coming up on 3 weeks? Yeah, 3 weeks here. We'll be holding our spring and summer outlook, the LRC weather special. That's from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock here on WDAY on the Jay Thomas Show. And again, if you have any questions on the LRC, feel free to email them to us. Again, weather@flagfamily.com ahead of time. But we encourage people to call in as well. It's going to be a great show. Gary has a big announcement to make about the LRC, which I think is going to make a lot of people happy. It made me happy when he broke the news just the other day. There will be an official release on that, I believe, next week sometime. So again, that's the LRC special. We'll be able to break down month by month what's going to happen for this spring and upcoming summer. We'll go over the growing season. Is it going to be another late start to the planting season? Are we going to be able to get out in the fields in time? What about moisture? We've had, it's been an active storm track just to our south. A good example, Minneapolis, well above normal in terms of snowfall. Sioux Falls as well. But just south of there, from Nebraska through Kansas, Missouri, they've been rather dry. So what's going to happen when the jet stream shifts north? Will that storm track shift north along with it? And will that bring more moisture according to the LRC? We'll be going over all those details, and you'll want to stay tuned. Again, that's the LRC special. That will be March 7th, starting at 2 p.m. So I've heard a lot of buzz about it. It's great to hear that. And like I told Gary, I said he's excited to come on with us, and he just likes educating people about the LRC. I know there was an article from another meteorologist here in town. They've been asking him about the LRC, and he's not quite a believer like we are, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I know there are some people kind of wondering why. Again, unless you work with Gary, you don't really know how exactly it works, and once you get educated on how it works, it really is a successful tool to have in your belt for long-term forecasting. And if you don't know what the LRC is, and maybe you're just hearing about it, tune in on March 7th, 2 to 5, and Gary will explain exactly how it works and why it works the way it does.
And make sure to bring your pen and paper to write down when you think storms are coming, what the weather patterns might look like, and then we can look to see how accurate it was as things move on. But it's the bottom of the hour. It's 1:31 here in the afternoon. When we come back, we're going to recap what's going on for the North Dakota Soybean and Corn Expo tomorrow in Fargo. Also, there's some interesting information on congressional spending for agriculture and so much more when we recap the weather. Be right back.
Hi, this is Kayla with Sanctuary and Riverhaven Event Centers, and I'm here to tell you why I chose 702 Communications for all of our managed services, phone, internet, and security cameras. At our event center, we have hundreds of people coming into our business weekly, and it's so important for us to have cameras that we can rely on. We reached out to 702 so that they could give us a quote for installing brand new cameras in all areas of our building, and now we have 26 cameras so that we know every part of our building is under surveillance and we're secure. We've had cameras in our business for a while, but we reached out to 702 because we were having issues. A lot of them weren't working all the time. So 702 was able to come in, give us a solution, fix everything, install all brand new cameras, and now we know we've got better audio, better quality, and we have an app that we use that has full surveillance 24 hours a day for us to pull up and know exactly what's going on. As a business owner, that peace of mind is invaluable.
If you want more peace of mind for your business that's invaluable, call 702 Communications right now at 218-250-8700. Again, 218-250-8700. Call now because peace of mind is priceless.
It's Jay and Ronnie from the Coffee Club, and we have a brand new offer to tell you about on MyPillow.com with our promo code WDAY. Right now, you can get the lightweight and heavyweight robes for only $59.98 with promo code WDAY.
Fantastic pricing on robes, especially this time of year. If you want a warm shower, there's nothing worse than getting cold right out of the shower. These robes will towel you off. It'll be amazing.
Extra long staple cotton, removable waist tie, full-length sleeves, relaxed fit, front pockets, machine washable and dryable. Plus, you have that 60-day money-back guarantee. So again, use promo code WDAY on MyPillow.com to get this amazing new offer.
Or call us at 800-875-0644, also using promo code WDAY. Once again, that's 800-875-0644, or go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, and use promo code WDAY.
Hi, this is Kevin Piper with Piper's Auction Company. Piper's upcoming February auctions include 786 acres of exceptional cropland in Ward County, 310 acres of highly productive cropland in Renville County near Glenburn, 308 acres of excellent cropland in Trail County south of Mayville and Portland, 640 acres of highly productive cropland near Hope, North Dakota and Steele County, and 340 acres of exceptional cropland in Becker County, Minnesota. View these auctions and many more land and equipment auctions at Pipers.com.
Fair Meadow Nursing Home is a 42-bed skilled nursing facility in fertile Minnesota. They pride themselves on the small-town, close-knit, home environment feel it provides its residents. And Fair Meadow Nursing Home is now hiring for the following positions: CNA, LPN, CNA therapy aides, dietary cook, dietary aide, and housekeeping aides. Fair Meadow Nursing Home and Assisted Living is committed to providing seniors a rich, meaningful, and dignified life, focusing on physical, social, spiritual, and emotional needs in order to provide the best life journey possible.
How long is the warranty on your car repair? Hi, this is Matthew Carlson, owner of Fix It Ford Auto Care. Every qualified repair at any of our 3 Fargo, Moorhead, and West Fargo locations is now covered by our extended 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty. Yes, you heard that right. 5 years or 60,000 miles. Peace of mind, just one more reason to choose Fix It Forward Auto Care. Ask your service advisor for details. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
If you're looking for honest, dependable, over-the-top customer service at affordable prices, you'll want to do business with Welton's Tire Service in Lisbon, North Dakota. Welton's is a name you've grown to trust, proudly serving the area for 50 years. Welton's Tire always works hard for customer satisfaction and service. They offer brands for every make. If you need tires, repair, maintenance, or on-farm tire service, contact Welton's Tire on Main Street in Lisbon. Tell them Beth sent you. Online at weltonstire.net.
Welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki. And there's all sorts of exciting things going on this time of year. One of them is tomorrow at the Fargo Dome. It is the Corn and Soybean Expo. And if you're watching on our live streams on Facebook Live, YouTube, or Acres TV, you'll see me holding up the magazine that gives you all the reminders of this meeting that's going on tomorrow. Again, this will be at the Fargo Dome, going on all day long. There are a number of speakers that I think are incredibly relevant. A couple of them will be, first of all, Josh Linville with StoneX. He's coming in with the fertilizer market outlook going into 2023's production year. We're also going to have a global economic outlook from Dr. David Cole. He is a retired Professor Emeritus from Virginia Tech. He does an outstanding job of presenting information and making it exciting and fun and very relatable. There's going to be a panel discussion with animal agriculture experts to talk about opportunities for diversified livestock production operations in the state. So not just owning your own herd, but potentially having a larger confinement operation for hogs, chickens, etc., especially now that we're going to have more soybean processing plants in the state, so we'd have a place for the soybean meal to be used. There'll be some discussion about weather, also biofuels. And as far as mini sessions are concerned, one of our favorites from the show will be Dr. Joe Eichley from North Dakota State University talking about weed control problems, particularly Palmer amaranth and water hemp. And he'll talk about kochia too, because there has been some concern about whether or not we're going to see kochia resistance with group 14s in western North Dakota. So jam-packed day, lots going on at the Fargo Dome. If you have time, please stop by. Also, you'll take in the annual meetings for the North Dakota soybean growers and corn growers while you're there. So lots to do tomorrow if you're in Fargo. That'd be great to stop by.
And Bridgette, calving season also is right around the corner, correct?
Yeah, it really is. We have a lot of producers that start in March.
Now, okay, let's say, but up this farther north, though, we're stretching this into April, correct?
We can have folks that are calving really any time of the year. We have some fall calvers that are going to be doing it in October, November. We have some folks that have started calving here in February. They want to get ahead of potentially planting their crop in May. So we could have calving season starting now all the way through June if you're going to do a pasture calving.
Now, okay, so let's say, according to the LRC, that we're going to have kind of like last April. Remember, we had that big blizzard come through. If our ranchers know that, how soon will they take action? I mean, if they know this is going to hit, let's say 3-4 weeks in advance, like, hey, all right, our area is, you know, according to the LRC, is in the target zone for potential blizzard. Do they wait like just maybe a week ahead of time, or is there more preparation further out than that?
Well, I think it's fair to say it depends what they need to do. So if you have ranchers that want to prepare, they need to make sure that they have hay. If it was out in the field, they've got to bring it back to the yard or wherever those cattle are going to be for calving. They need windbreaks that are going to be set up, and that takes a few days to do. A lot of them are in place already if you have permanent shelter belts, but if you have portables, panels, you're going to want to move them around. Kind of depends on where the calendar falls. Are you partway through calving? Do you need to open up the barns, bring in more cows and calves than you had previously thought of? Those types of things. And then making sure you have feed supplies on hand. Think back to December. We're probably not going to get a snowstorm that blocks roads for as long as it did in Minnesota and South Dakota in December, where feed trucks couldn't get through if you need to have additional feed brought onto the farm. So we probably don't have that much to worry about where you'd be able to get feed trucks in and out as needed. But there's other inputs. What about diesel fuel for the tractors? You want to make sure your diesel tanks are full. How about propane for the house if you're heating your house with propane? Those are all things that you want to make sure you're taking care of as well. And you know, just to have that general backup supply of your generators prepped and ready to go at any point in time, because we are never out of the woods. We can lose power this time of year or even later on in the summer. So the LRC is important to all of us in the region. Just doesn't matter if it's livestock or crop farming. We could be using it for any of that.
And, you know, I'd like to hear from any of our listeners, because as we kind of pointed out earlier, there was an article. Did I send you the article, Bridgette? I think I did, didn't I?
Yep, I got a chance to see it.
So there was an article, I won't say where or who, you know, because that's just, no. But there was an article put out saying, well, the LRC is kind of, still has a lot more research to do, and it's not, basically in a nutshell, it's not real. Like a blind squirrel finds a nut. I think the article said, well, even a bad dart thrower will hit a bullseye occasionally. I want to know from our listeners, if you've been following the LRC, do you believe it? Do you think it truly does work? 701-293-9000, 701-293-9000. We'd like to get a gauge on what our listeners are thinking about that, because, you know, I don't know. I kind of got a chuckle out of the article, and I can totally understand why this individual thought that way, and that's, like I said earlier, that's fine, but I think it's kind of an educational, you know, when when you're learning something new, probably right off the bat, it's like, I don't know, that just doesn't seem right. Why does it work? But once you learn why it works and how it works, it's hard to deny that it's there. I mean, it's a very complex way to forecast the weather, but it's also very accurate.
Let's be honest. When I first came on board, I thought it was a bit of foo-foo dust as well.
Right.
But our accuracy has been tremendous. We had listeners stop in during our open house last fall specifically to say, I wrote these dates down. And how come it didn't storm this week? You said it was going to storm. Every other time it worked out perfectly. So again, those storms may not always hit right where you are, but we know that there's going to be a disturbance in the weather system in our region. And then we can pinpoint it as it gets more close on the calendar anyway. So I think that you're right. People are becoming more and more rely on what we're doing with the LRC. It's been extremely helpful. We do the weather special. Again, mark your calendars for Tuesday, March 7th to make sure that you are writing down when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, and what it's going to work, what it's going to do for you.
Exactly. And Jay did that on his show. Hold our feet to the fire. That's great. I mean, and if it was off, maybe on one storm or a couple storms throughout a 6-month period, again, it's proven 80% accurate. It's not 100%. Never said it was, but it's definitely something that we love around here. And like I said, the more people we can educate on it, the better. And I think our ag community is also going to benefit, as you well know, Bridgette, on that as well. And speaking of it,
Dean,
go ahead.
Let's face it. We definitely want people to let us know if it's being accurate and what they think of it, because that's where they can also subscribe specifically to their county, so that way you're paying a little more attention to what's going on just in your region and neighborhood. One of those other ways that I think it's helpful for you to pay attention is when you're watching what's going on politically as well. I'm going to turn this over to the fact that we want to catch up on just one little topic that's going on right now with Congress having voted on the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023. That's a $1.7 trillion spending bill. It's got 12 different pieces to it that cover everything from national disasters to foreign aid, how it's going to affect our agricultural community, just as importantly as how the LRC does. There's $3.7 billion in farm disaster aid that's coming out for losses in 2022 for livestock and crops. We've got $3.4 billion being spent on additional ag research. The part of that will mean that the EPA is going to be boosting registration and maintenance fees when it comes to registering new active ingredients and pesticides. That's going to go up by 30%, and there's a renewed focus on the Endangered Species Act from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Lastly, there's $1.5 billion that's going to be spent on infrastructure through the Army Corps of Engineers. The Mississippi is down. We've talked a lot about how all this snow and rainfall matters to bring the Mississippi back up from what was once a 6-lane highway. Right now, with the low water, it's about a 2-lane. And for travel and trade, we need it to go back up. But before all of the water fell, the water levels, back in 19 and 20, when we had some very dry years, some very wet years, we saw flooding. And there is infrastructure that has not yet been fixed along the Mississippi River, and that's where some of these dollars are going to go, is for the Army Corps of Engineers, to make sure to spend that to increase some of the infrastructure that needs to be fixed down there. So a number of ways that dollars are currently going to be spent with that new spending bill that was approved by Congress. Just a heads up for those who are wondering what's going on.
Right. And how about let's touch real quickly before we take a short little recess here. Farming in the war zone. We're talking about Ukraine, obviously.
We are, and there's some information out of the Howard Buffett Foundation. They've been working to improve the quality of life in many of the world's most impoverished nations, but they have also now taken it upon themselves to do more work in Ukraine. That's something they weren't really looking at prior to the start of that war. Ukrainian farmers, as we know, have had grain stolen, elevators destroyed, fields set on fire, equipment has been stolen and destroyed. And with the Buffett's Foundation, they have brought millions of dollars of equipment into the Ukraine. We're talking 50 new John Deere and New Holland combines, 55 tractors, 55 Kinsey or Monosem planters. They're trying to work with the Ministry of Agriculture to help with harvest equipment to those who lost their equipment due to the war. And there's a nonprofit that has now been set up within Ukraine to move that around. Also, they have reached out to Cargill and Bunge to help repair grain facilities so that once the crop is planted for 23 and then harvested, we can get that product moved out of the country into places like Turkey, where there's an agreement with the UN that was done last September to try to get that to move. One of the holdups has been the fact that Russia isn't approving and inspecting ships for sail and ship as quickly as they normally would. So that's been held up a little bit, but overall, Ukrainian farmers still intend to go ahead, plant a crop, harvest it, and continue to help do their part to move grain around to other countries in their region. So all of that's still going on, but can you imagine having to farm around bombed out tractors or bombs in your fields?
And then having to rely on your enemy to be able to let the product get exported. Wow.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to take a few minutes and catch up with what's going on here in the U.S. and globally as well with the American Ag Network. We'll hear what those markets look like, and then we'll be right back right after this to talk about some weather.
Hi, I'm Ashley, owner of the Aspire Optical Company. We think that shopping for a new pair of eyewear should be something you look forward to. A big part of that is our above and beyond customer experience, amazing in-store installations, and the most extensive selection of eyewear in the area. We pride ourselves on doing all those things while providing a laid-back and genuinely fun experience. This month, save 20% off your first pair, 30% off your second pair, and 40% off every pair after that. Aspire Optical, eyewear like you've never seen.
Don't worry about it, just take it to Bailey's.
Hi, I'm Erin. The moment that 5-gallon bucket of white paint tipped over and emptied on the black interior of my vehicle, I thought to myself, insurance nightmare. I drove straight to Bailey's. Upon arrival, Kevin and his team worked quickly. They took the entire cargo space apart and detailed it to perfection. No permanent damage, crisis averted. So glad I called Bailey's.
Check out Bailey's Auto Body for your collision repair needs. Go to Bailey'sAutoBody.com.
Just take it to Bailey's.
Hey everyone, John Adams here. I hope you'll join me on WDAY Radio for my new talk show, Talk of the Town with John Adams. Every Wednesday from 11 to noon, we'll talk about issues that affect us all in the Fargo-Moorhead community. We'll talk taxes, the diversion, places to go and things to do, and of course, bison and Viking football. We'll talk about issues that affect everyone in this great community that we call home. That's Talk of the Town with John Adams, Wednesdays at 11 on WDAY Radio.
Hail Comfort King, honorable defender of truth in the land of comfort. I am here to offer my service to you in defense of slumber from the insomnia invader.
Welcome, good night, to our quest for peaceful rest and comfort for all our fellow citizens.
With our soft spot warranty and lifetime comfort guarantee, we shall surely reward their faith in the craftsmanship of Comfort King.
Indeed, good night. Say, what is your name?
Knight.
Well then, night.
Comfort King Mattress Factory for queens and kings.
And peasants too.
Mixed to higher trade in grains and livestock on Monday. You're listening to the American Ag Network. of Jesse Allen with this closing market update. Well, we saw grains back off their mid-session highs, little in the way of fundamental market-moving news at the end of the session. But as we got the day going on Monday, we saw soybeans and meal show the greatest exuberance on the day, the greatest buying interest on weather-related concerns in Argentina. Buying interest, though, in beans slowed down as the March contract rallied to its highest level since mid-June and the highest level for a lead contract since mid-September as harvest picks up in Brazil. Wheat started the morning in the red. Chicago wheat, though, led the complex higher. Fund managers liquidated a portion of their massive short positions, or at least that's what we believe they have as a massive short position. We don't know for sure. We are lacking a CFTC report for the past couple of weeks. Corn largely choppy on the day, while livestock, cattle, and hogs, robust day there with far-deferred hogs showing some really aggressive strength to the upside. Final numbers on Monday: March quart up 4.5, 685. December new crop quart up 3/4, 596 3/4. March beans up a quarter penny, 1542 3/4. November new crop beans up 6 at 1384 3/4. Soybean meal, March up 460 a ton, 504. March bean oil down 40 points, 60.14. March Chicago wheat 6 higher, 792. July up 3.5 at 802 1/2. March Kansas City wheat up 3 1/4, 912 1/4. July up 3, 885 1/4. Spring wheat March down 3/4, 929 1/2. July down 2 at 915 1/4. Lean hogs February down 5, 75 82. April up 302, 86 35. March feeder cattle up 80, 187.20. April up 92, 191, 60. February live cattle up 107, 162, 27. April up 115, 165, 10. And June live cattle up 67 at 160, 42 on Monday. That's a look at the closing markets for Monday on the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen reporting.
And welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. Thrilled that you are joining us today. I'm Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki. And Dean, I have some weather-related trivia type things that, well, you don't know them, so this is going to catch you a little blindsided. But
Stump the chump.
This ought to be fun.
All right.
Perfect. We do this. You and Justin do this to me all the time when you ask me headlines. So here we go. All right. February 8th, 1891. Winds peaked at 80 miles per hour with the worst blizzard ever. In what town in South Dakota?
Okay, repeat. I couldn't hear the whole question with the background. But say that again. Sorry.
It's okay. It's hard being trapped in an airport sometimes. Okay. February 8th, 1891. Winds peaked at 80 miles an hour in what witnesses called the worst blizzard ever. In what town in South Dakota?
Google.
I like that we get to blame South Dakota for having some of the worst weather ever. It's not just always us.
Google. Was that the children's blizzard?
1891, it might have been.
All right. It was in the Black Hills?
I don't think so.
Oh, I was going to say Deadwood, but...
Nope. This was Elkton, South Dakota, had the most.
Ooh.
Yep, this was 80 miles an hour, February 8th, 1891. So my next question is Alaska the snowiest state in the nation?
No.
Okay, so what is it? I've got an answer over here, but I want to see if I'm right.
Okay, I'm going with, I'm pretty sure it's Colorado.
So Colorado claims greatest snowfall in a 24-hour period. Silver Lake says they got 75.8 inches in April of 1921. On a single calendar day as well, that was Georgetown got 63 inches in 1913. But Washington holds two records. Greatest snowfall in a 12-month period. They got 1,140 inches in 1998 to 99. And most days in 1 year with the most new snow falls on Mount Rainier with 121 days. So you say Colorado claims, or you said it's not Alaska. Colorado claims greatest snowfall, and Washington holds two great snowfall records as well.
Right.
So I wouldn't have thought of Washington. I mean, I should have because of the mountain peaks, but that's not your first snowy state that comes to mind.
Not typically, but I mean, you've got that upslope flow when you get all those storms coming in off the Pacific. So I could see it happening. Yeah. How about this one? Since we're just done with the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a little weather and Super Bowl trivia. What city? How do I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Who holds the record for the coldest Super Bowl on record? What city holds the record for the coldest Super Bowl on record? Don't ask me what year.
I'm going to say either. Okay, I'm just going to guess it's either Buffalo or Minneapolis.
No. Think of who has held the Super Bowl. What cities have held the Super Bowl?
Minneapolis held it 1 year, and it was.
Did they?
And it was really cold. Yeah, Minneapolis had it. Wasn't that the last? Because I had a friend who was a volunteer
for the Super Bowl
over there. Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was the Super Bowl in Minneapolis. Recently, too, like in the last 5 years.
Further south.
Okay, so now we're in Kansas City?
We were just talking about this place earlier in the show.
Elkton, South Dakota.
New Orleans. Actually,
How
New Orleans.
Cold was it in New Orleans?
It was, I believe, was it in the 20s or 30s? But obviously, it was played indoors at the Superdome. Okay.
Yes.
But yeah. They hold the record for the coldest Super Bowl. I know we had a lot of people. They had this on one of our other shows, and a lot of people guessed. Well, it had to be the Ice Bowl up in Green Bay. That was the playoffs. That wasn't the Super Bowl. So a little bit of a difference.
Good news. It's not going to get that much. It's not going to get that cold, hopefully, anymore this season. And we're gonna look for no more sundogs too, right, Dean? Because we're probably past that point.
Well, I wouldn't say that. No. We are looking at, actually, there's a pretty vigorous storm system. It doesn't have a lot of snow potential, but it's got a lot of wind potential with it as we head into later this week. So we'll recap the forecast here. Beautiful day today. Temperatures will top out in the 30s. Some spots near 40 in Lakes Country, or in the low 40s actually in Lakes Country. So not a bad looking forecast for today. Things start to go downhill as we head into Tuesday. We'll see the clouds increase, thicken up. We'll see some rain. That's right, rain coming in from the south. In fact, much of Minnesota, on the Minnesota side, will be rain when this precip starts. I think it'll be a mixed area of precip here in the valley. And then that will quickly change to snow. Timing on that looks to be coming in around evening time. So your morning rush hour tomorrow is fine. Your evening rush hour is fine. And then as we head into the overnight, that's when everything changes over to snow. And we're going to see a sharp cutoff in that snow from west to east. So you go out towards Jamestown, you're probably not going to see maybe a half inch or so. The closer you get to the valley, you're looking at 1 to 3 inches. And as you get into Lakes Country, you're looking at probably 3 to 6 inches. Now, again, that's not a whole lot of snow. We can deal with that. But we're going to have winds ramping up after midnight tomorrow. So things go downhill. There is a winter storm watch in effect for tomorrow night into Wednesday. And winds will whip out of the north-northeast as we head into the overnight hours Tuesday night and especially Wednesday morning. So that Wednesday morning commute is going to be a headache. A lot of blowing snow. Even if we, let's say, wind up with an inch on the low side, that whipping around is going to be a pretty big mess Wednesday morning. But again, a slight shift in the track of this further south, and that puts us in an inch or less. A slight shift north and west puts us in the heavier amounts, 3 or more inches. But again, we'll kind of fine-tune that forecast, but just keep that in the back of your mind. And then Wednesday, that's the day you probably aren't going to want to travel, at least early in the day before conditions improve late. And then we'll see cold air following that with teens on Wednesday, probably either upper single digits or low teens on Thursday with overnight lows back down below 0 before we bounce back into the 20s as we head into the weekend. I don't see any more 30s to near 40 in the forecast for a while. So this might be the last we see until maybe March, because a much colder pattern is going to take its residence over our area. Nothing Arctic yet, but I do see signs that maybe towards the end of the month, maybe a little sooner than that, we'll get at least a couple punches of cold air, and then I do believe, and according to the LRC, we're going to have one more Arctic surge before the season is done. That will likely come end of this month into the first part of March before things start to moderate after mid-March, the way it looks right now. And by moderating, I'm talking kind of like the temperatures that we have out there right now, that's decent. That's not too bad.
It's decent, but you know what? That warms my heart, Dean, because we also will warm up the fact that we've got great guests coming on for the rest of the week. You have a guest tomorrow, former football player who now farms.
Yes.
I'm going to have some folks on from the Hope Fire Department talking about a bin rescue that was successful last fall, Lions Tree Farm, and we'll round out the week with Randy Nelson, Clay County Extension Educator.
Fantastic. And that'll do it for Weather and Ag in Focus for today. Join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Have a great day.
970 WDAY AM and 93.